Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You would listen to the news and listen to the attacks on Trump and Trump's efforts to counter those attacks and the struggles at every level of government, all the way down to individual groups in places like California rioting and protesting in Berkeley, and the tension that goes on through our entire financial system. And you'd think we're in some kind of a very unique state right now in our country, something that's never happened before. But as Mark Twain says, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. This particular stanza has occurred twice before in our country's history. And I'd like to talk about that in the first half hour of the Sam Spade Show. This is the Sam Spade Show, and I am, as you can probably guess, Sam Spade. And I'm here to help you get through the coming train wreck. Because no matter what happens, no matter how this thing is resolved, it's not going to be resolved easily. There's going to be a lot of pain. There's going to be a lot of suffering. If you don't think that's true, if you believe fundamentally that the government is here to help us, that if we just elect the right people into office, they will straighten things out. If you believe that the solution lies in getting together all the loose and disorganized threads in the bottom of our society, hammering the great deplorables into shape, and running all these concepts up to a central government who, in an all-knowing and wise state, can fix it all. If you believe that, fundamentally, if that's your worldview, you really need to go to another radio station, because I have nothing to tell you. I'm just going to drive your blood pressure up. But if you believe instead that there is something unsurvivable based deep in the way our country is organized right now, that we have to have fundamental changes somehow in order to move into the future, and those fundamental changes are not the election of a Hillary II to office. They are not even the election of a strong leader to national office. If you believe somehow, some way we have erred from the condition that we were in when we were founded, and that erring is terrifying, that's the sort of thing we talk about on this show. And we talk about how you can get through the crisis that is coming as the transition that we're talking about takes place in our society. Let me talk a little bit about the first statement I made early, which is that the rhyme, so to speak, in this poem has occurred twice before in our country's history. The first time was the Revolutionary War. In the Revolutionary War, we had a nation, well, it wasn't a nation at the time, we had a society built up of individuals. A society in this country that was run from the ground up. A society of individuals at every walk of life, from businessmen in small businesses in the larger cities, and they weren't all that large at the time, on out through individuals running small farms, families, small communities in which the life of the community was centered around the community, even out to pioneers, moving out to the wilderness, slowly forming a new society and a new world. All of them represented collectively the authority that ran our country. It was from the ground up. It was an emergent phenomenon in which individuals collectively decided which way we would go as a society. On the other end of that issue was the government in London, which was very centralized, very hierarchical, running around a group of individuals who, because they printed their own money, became very, very wealthy. Because they controlled monopolies of trade, became very, very wealthy. And with that wealth purchased considerable power. And they wanted our society to structure itself and to align itself to fit in with the kind of hierarchical power systems that they wanted to produce and control and grow with. In other words, they wanted to fold us more tightly into the British Empire. And to do this, they had to eliminate many of the individual characteristics and thoughts and actions and ways that we as a nation behaved. I don't mean nation at the time, because we weren't. We were soon to be nation behaved. And that resulted in the conflict that was the Revolutionary War. It was a conflict between individual liberties and centralized authority. Or perhaps if you don't want to have the slant on it of liberty, you could say it was a conflict between individual authority and centralized national authority. That is what caused the Revolutionary War, fundamentally. Now, fast forward to the Civil War. I know there are many people on the side of the victors who will tell you that the Civil War was fought to eliminate slavery. But even Lincoln will tell you that's not the case. Lincoln will tell you he instituted the war because he was determined to keep the Union. And he would keep the Union and slavery if that was the only way to keep the Union. He would eliminate slavery if that was the only way to keep the Union. But he was fighting the war because he wanted to keep the Union intact. So if you accept his statement, and there's plenty of other evidence to back it up, and it's not really relevant to the point I'm trying to make. If you accept that was not the fundamental cause of the conflict, then you have to ask, what is? To put it another way, why was he so determined to keep the Union together? What was there in the Union that was of such value to him? Well, if you look deeper, what you find is that the South was a predominantly rural society in which the individual had primary authority, primary ability to structure the way the society behaved. The society was governed, produced, and organized from the ground up. And it was also a source of raw materials. It was a source of labor. It was a source of resources that the North needed. And it was a market for which they could sell their products. The net result is that the North had to have the South if they wanted to continually industrialize. They were, for the North, exactly what the New World, the United States, the colonies before the Revolution were, for the British government, which is a captive colony to use in the mercantilist relationship. A captive colony in which they could get the raw materials and they could turn around and resell whatever it is that they made or produced. And the South was simply tired of being in this subservient position, and they asked to please leave. Now, if that were not the situation, if the South and the North existed on equal terms, then there would be no reason, because there's certainly nothing in the Constitution, to stop the North from simply saying, oh, you guys are a big pain in the hiney anyway. Just go. Don't slam the door on the way out. But they didn't. They didn't because they were receiving most of the rewards of the relationship. And the South wanted to leave because they were receiving the dirty end of the stick. Well, fast forward. Here we are today. Take a look at the voting map. Who voted for Trump and who voted for Hillary? And what you find is that the large, centralized metropolitan areas, the areas that benefit from the centralized creation of money, the areas that benefit from the centralized authority of violence, the areas that benefit from a mercantilist relationship with the rest of the country, those are the areas that voted for Hillary. Those are the areas that wanted a continued growth of centralization. Those are the areas that wanted, if you looking for a term, wanted more globalism. They wanted the United States to go out and move from the residual nationhood, which is ethnically almost dying, to become a superpower worldwide in an imperial sense. They wanted the United States to become an empire. They wanted them to stop being a nation and become an empire. The other half of the coin were the people that voted for Trump. Now, they really didn't, in my opinion, vote for Trump because they felt his nationalist policies were best. I think they voted for Trump because they really didn't see any other alternative to a centralized national authority. So they were presented with the option of picking from Trump, who was a national authoritarian, or Hillary, who was a imperialist authoritarian. And they picked Trump. It seemed like the only choice. But underneath the struggle that is really going on, that is really taking place, is exactly the same struggle that took place underneath the surface that caused the Civil War, and exactly the same struggle that took place underneath the surface that caused the Revolutionary War, which is that the vast majority of Americans, at least in a geographic sense, if not a population density sense, are getting real tired of being used as a captive colony of the large metropolitan areas. We're tired of having the large metropolitan areas tax us to death, take all our resources, either directly or indirectly. We're tired of having them print money and force us to use it when it loses value at a steady basis. We're tired of them having come into our schools and telling us what we have to teach our children and what they must learn. We're tired of them telling us that we no longer own our own bodies and we have to use fluorides in our water. We have to have our children vaccinated. There is a growing anger on the part of this captive colony, which is the vast middle of the country, that we no longer want to be a captive colony of the large metropolis areas in the United States. And that's the conflict that's going to come to a head. Now, I hope that unlike the situation in the Revolutionary War, unlike the situation in the Civil War, I hope we were able to resolve these issues without violence and without armed conflict. But I very much feel that that's not likely to happen. And that's the reason, one of the reasons that I'm doing this radio show, because I'm trying to equip you, the listener, to be able to face the crisis when it comes, to have the resources put aside, both emotionally and spiritually and economically and physically, to be able to provide for yourself and to be able to link up with communities, either your immediate neighbors or even nationwide communities, to help you organize and fight back in whatever mode, in whatever arena the struggle happens to break out into. And that's why I hope you'll listen to me later on as we discuss more of these things. I am Sam Spade. This is the Sam Spade Radio Hour. We are on every week from Fridays, 1 to 2. And if you have any interest in a particular topic, I hope you'll send me an email. That's, oh boy, where is that? Oh, yes, Nooganomics. That is, Lordy. Well, at any rate, contact the station. I hope you send me an email. And it's not sitting up here. Can't win them all. Okay. So let me talk about the situation back politically again. No, let's change topics. Let's talk about one of the aspects that I talk a lot about on this station, which is economic security. You know, if you're working and earning a good living for a large company, that large company wants you to be a brick in their wall. They want you to fit into their organization. And you've done that. If you didn't do it, you wouldn't be successfully employed at that company. They would have spit you out by now. If it happens to be a company, let's say, in which you're an electrician and you're developing practical, reliable skills that you can use in a large variety of circumstances, then you're ahead of the game. But if, like most of us, working for a large company means when you're a brick in the wall that you spend all your time filling out Form 2730, for Unium, let's say, or some other insurance company, then the skills you have are very, very limited to that particular company. And if that company winds up laying you off and all the other companies in that industry wind up being in trouble, you're going to find suddenly that your sources of income dry up. And if you've got a family that you have to feed, if you're in debt up to your ears, only jumping from paycheck to paycheck as it is now, you're going to be an instant pauper. And if part of this collapse is that food assistance dries up, you're not just going to be an instant pauper. You're going to be instantly starting to starve. You're going to lose the roof over your head. Your kids are going to be out on the street. You're one day away from having your whole family be a street person then. So I want you to think about what you can do to get out of that very vulnerable situation. We've talked about a number of things like reducing your debt, reducing the kinds of overheads that you have to pay out money for. That's half of the issue, reducing the money that you have to pay out every month. But let's talk about the other half right now, which is getting other sources of income that will help you bring in money in areas that you don't have any expertise in at all, or areas where, in the case of the Unium example, areas that you have developed your own expertise in other ways than working for somebody else. And let me give you just one particular example that came to my mind recently. Maybe a word or two about it ahead of time would help. The argument is that if you develop money-making hobbies, that's one way of calling it. Micro businesses is another way of calling it. And you have several of these that you have mothballed, sitting there waiting for you to use in an emergency, requiring nothing but your time in order to get them to grow and prosper and produce income, then you've got resources available. And if you suddenly have nothing but time because you get the axe, you can turn around, start pulling these little jewels off the shelf, pumping your time into them, and begin to make a little money off of each one of them. And if you've been careful to cut your expenses down to the bone, there's a good chance that you can begin to make ends meet. So I want to talk about one particular kind of little micro business that I stumbled across, thought of, and throw it out there. If anybody wants it, it's available. I highly recommend you go out and grab it and try it. I'm not suggesting that you want to get out there and spend a huge amount of resources in developing it. All of these are going to take time up front, by the way. This is not a zero input effort kind of thing. You're going to have to put time in order to develop these micro businesses enough so that they're at the starting point where they can take off. And at that point, you don't have to put any time anymore. The idea is just mothball it, go ahead and look for a way to start another one. In essence, I'm suggesting that you become a micro serial entrepreneur, for want of a better term. All right. So let me talk about this particular opportunity that I stumbled across. And and it doesn't, by the way, apply to everybody by any means. But the reason I bring it up is I want you to see the thought process that went through finding this and thinking about how I could develop it and what I could make out of it. And by the way, the reason that I'm not interested in doing it is because I already have several of these micro businesses that I'm trying to get going, paying hobbies that I'm trying to get to pay, if you will. You're listening to them right now. This is one of them. And I would rather do this than the particular micro business that I have turned up. But the one I'm going to talk about here, for the right person, it's a great opportunity for you to develop a potential source of alternate income if you suddenly wind up on the street. So let's talk about this. It revolves around something that is called a PLC. That's a programmable logic controller, is what that stands for. And a programmable logic controller is a little box that is programmed to represent relays. So when they were first produced, the idea was you took a room with a whole wall full of relays that did things, turned motors on and off, made measurements, ran small pieces of machinery, and you replaced it with a little box with nothing but programming in it. They're designed to be simple. They're designed to be cheap, and they are ubiquitous everywhere around the world. If you go to, as an example, DuPont probably has 40 or 50 people who know how to program these things, who run all over the plant, programming them and setting up and working with them. Now, if you have the knowledge about how to run one of these devices, this is an opportunity that you might really want to take advantage of. If you don't have the knowledge about how to do that, listen along anyway, because there's bound to be something in your experience where you have knowledge about a particular specialty that you could use to do a similar kind of project in another field. So this is a good example for you to listen to and see what the process is. Okay, the city of Chattanooga in the wastewater treatment department area is going to shortly have 20 to 30 of these PLCs that they're going to surplus. And they just want to get rid of them. I don't think they're going to junk them. I think they're going to sell them at auction for as little as they possibly can, as much as they can get. The last time I heard, they were selling them for $10 a piece or something like that, a ridiculously small amount because they cost $500 or $600 a piece to begin with. All right, so here's an opportunity because somebody needs these. Well, who in Chattanooga needs them? I suspect people who want to learn how to program, who want to set these up, who want to learn about it, because that requires hands-on effort. You can't just sit down at a computer and watch a course on how to program PLCs and get them running and use them. It's not something you learn just by watching a computer screen. You have to go out and do it with a piece of hardware. So here are 20 or 30 of these pieces of hardware that somebody could use to learn on. Well, who could use to learn on? Students. Where do I find students? Well, Chattanooga State. All right. So if I were going to try and develop this, I'd trundle on over to Chattanooga State and start asking around. Listen, does anybody here think maybe a course on a laboratory course specifically on programming PLCs would be a good idea? And if I get some interest and it looks like it's a possibility, then I'd say, well, who can I get to really put pressure on these people to do it and help pay for it? Well, DuPont hires dozens and dozens of people to do this sort of thing. And I'm sure they'd love to have a course to get these people trained. So I trundle on over to DuPont and I asked them, would you like to help out getting this thing going as a training process? The net result is you put these three pieces together. And of course, you have some skill in PLCs, or you wouldn't be interested in doing this to begin with. And the net result is you can get a course going, if you're lucky, at Chat State for a semester, teaching a lab to tell people how to program PLCs. Now you're a professor. You're not paid anything, but never mind that. No professor is. The point is you now have the title and the resources to go out and start talking to people about doing other things. Eventually, with luck, you will wind up being paid for the course as it becomes more popular and there's more demand for it. It's not going to happen right away. Remember, you have to learn before you can earn. And that means that you have to begin to do something before you can expect to be paid for doing it. That's just one idea. I hope you find it interesting. You're listening to the Sam Spade Hour. We are here every Friday from 1 to 2, giving you ideas and ways to get through the coming train wreck. I hope you will stay tuned and come back again in the end of these very important messages, which we are about to start.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road, Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds, Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
Got vacation plans? For four-legged family members left behind, the Inn at Wolf Deaver has a deal for you. Book at least 3 nights in an Inn Classic or a preferred suite. Get a night free. That's right, 1 free night. These suites are truly doggy-sized hotel room. And next door, Wolf Deaver Pet Hospital will give all required vaccinations and testing 30% off. Time limited to plan your doggy stay. Conditions apply. 344-1913. WolfDeaver.com.
Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedway.dirtsimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see you Saturday night.
The UCRA Crate Late Model Event. Limited late models, crate late models, sportsman, hobby, and street stocks.
Boyd Speedway.
Is your career taking you where you want to go? If not, talk to Covenant Group Insurance, especially if you like helping people. Call and learn how you can work for yourself, but not by yourself. Intense but free training, plus a fantastic lead program, plus office support equals your success, your prosperity. Gross at least $75,000 your first year selling insurance. Call Steve or Jada for a confidential interview. That's 855-8484. Maybe the most important call you'll make all year.
Window Depot of Chattanooga. They're locally owned and operated and been around since 2008, installing top quality vinyl replacement windows. You get the best price and service in the area. Top quality double pane, energy efficient windows. They look great and save you money.
Oh, I love to save money.
You'll also save money on your heating and cooling costs. Call 894-0011. 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Sales and installation professionals. You'll get a fantastic job while helping to enhance the value, appearance, comfort, and efficiency of your most valuable asset, your home. Other window providers? No way. Window Depot Chattanooga's windows qualify for the TVA rebate. Sliding doors, gutters, soffits, fascia, garage doors, and other home improvements. If you want to save a ton, call 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Window Depot of Chattanooga. Sales and installation professionals.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left, heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car, where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies through your afternoon. Hot and humid highs, upper 80s to near 90. Could see a spotty shower, but not too many. Tonight, lows only to the upper 60s. For Saturday, another hot day, 88 to 90. May see a late shower or storm, with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Hot weather is here for now, so the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa, where they'll keep you running longer and stronger with Napa Know-How. And I'm Sports Scene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Do you think that the problems that we have in our present society, the stress, the government issues, do you think they can all be solved by just putting the right people in charge in Washington? Do you think if we just elect good people to clean out the problems, they'll be able to get it done and turn it all around and things will be good again? Well, if you do, I'd like to try and talk with you a little bit about that and ask whether those assumptions are correct. Because if they're not, we're going to have to hit some serious issues and serious troubles in our country. We're going to have to change the structure of the way we govern in this country. I'm Sam Spade. You're listening to the Sam Spade Hour. We're here every Friday from 1 to 2 to talk about the coming economic and political crisis that's about to break on our country. And we're here to talk about how you as an individual can fortify yourself against that crisis when it comes and set out to rebuild after that crisis is over, and what it is you should look for and the goals you should have when you're trying to help rebuild our society. So let me ask this. If you feel maybe the problem is just not having the right people in Washington, let me ask, when was the last time we did have the right people in Washington? When was the last time that somebody took office and did what you wanted him to do, or her? There hasn't been a her in the case of presidents, but in the case of other elected officials, there have. Let me take the specific example of the president, since it's the one we all think of and are aware of. I can remember voting for Carter. I can remember voting for Reagan. And I can remember supporting Trump and trying to get him in office. And in every single one of those instances, the person I put into office failed dismally to do anything that I wanted him to do. Now, in the case of Trump, you can say, well, he hasn't failed yet. It's only early on. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe he will be successful. Maybe he will turn out to be one of the greatest presidents we ever had, and he will drain the swamp, and he will finally bring honesty back to government and reduce waste, and everything will be roses and sunlight. But so far, he has done nothing that I am very excited about. You know, I wanted him to be elected because I wanted somebody who wouldn't be involved in wars and adventures overseas. I wanted him to stop trying to force America to be an empire and let us become, as Pat Buchanan says, a republic, as we were meant to be originally. And he hasn't done that. You know, he's involved in every single military adventure that I can think of that Obama was involved in. Now, if you voted for Obama, I did not. But if you voted for Obama and supported him because he promised you that we would get out of Afghanistan, he promised you we would get out of Iraq, he promised you we would pull back from all of the empire building overseas and begin to concentrate on problems here at home. If you voted him for that, aren't you a little embarrassed? Because frankly, he turned into be a war president. No different from Trump now is. You know, we keep sending people to Washington. People that I honestly believe are good people in many instances. I don't know that I believe that about Obama. I'm not saying that. But certainly I believe that about Reagan. I did believe that about Carter. And I did believe that, and do still believe that about Trump. I believe they had good motives. They were out there to do the right thing. And the system destroyed them. And if that's the case, we can't expect anybody to go to Washington and solve the problems in Washington. The system will destroy them too. The problem is not the individual. It's that we have a monster there that will destroy anybody we send to Washington to try and fix the problem. In fact, I believe that we are now at a situation where, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, that we can't send anybody to Washington at any position anywhere and expect the deep state to say, yes, sir, we'll change our philosophies because you tell us to. In other words, I believe we're beyond the point where any centralized hierarchical organization in Washington can be allowed to function, can be expected to function in a manner that's for the best for everyone down here at the grassroots level in this country. I believe, and I would argue, that we're now at a position where, because of the advance of technology, the ability of the government to understand all your thoughts, the ability of the government to track you, what you spend, how you spend your money on, all of these issues that have come about relatively recently, I believe we're now in a position where there are really only two choices for power structure in this United States. They are either we wind up with a completely centralized power authority with absolute control over everybody, whether we like it or not. A tyranny that could be more terrifying because of the ability to surveil, because of the ability to control money, because of the ability to buy us, and because of the ability to communicate with weapons that have become horrific, could become far more totalitarian than any tyranny that has ever existed. Or we say, no, enough. We are going to return back to the roots that we were before the Civil War, roots in which the power was vested first and foremost in the individual and his family. That individual, by his participation and by his support, transferred power to local governments, local city governments, local county governments, and they in turn, by their support, provided power to the states. The Constitution is specifically written to enforce a grassroots power structure. And the reason that's important is because it's very hard to run all of the power games that allow the government to become totalitarian if there is not just one government. If there are, to take the example that I've given, 3,000, because in this country, there are 3,000 individual counties. If each one has its own school system, each one has its own standards for the school system to teach students in a manner that the citizens of that county feel are best, with philosophies that the citizens of that county feel are best. If the citizens in those counties make money the old-fashioned way, which is to say they dig it out of the ground as opposed to running it off a printing press, there winds up with no central authority that gets rich by the printing of money, that gets powered by the printing of money. You know, people will argue that we can solve our monetary problems if we just get rid of the Fed and allow the Treasury to print money. But you've still got the same problem. Every single $100 bill that is printed, whether the $100 bill, the money from that $100 bill comes to the Fed, or whether the money from that $100 bill comes from the Treasury, it doesn't matter. Every single one, for whoever makes it, basically gets $100 to spend any way he wants. That's because a bill costs only 15 cents to print. A $100 bill costs 15 cents. That means if you print a $100 bill and you go to the TV station, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, and you say, listen, I want to buy stock in your company. I want to buy all the advertising in your company. I just printed this $100 bill. It cost me nothing to produce. Well, not nothing, 15%. It cost me almost nothing to produce. I'm going to buy that stock. Now, I'd like to change your view on editorial issues. I'd like to change what you talk about. I'd like to change the politics of what you say. You can play that game all across the spectrum. You know what? Our society is controlled in the end with a carrot or a stick. That's really the only two of the only ways that those in power have of trying to force us to follow their bidding. The carrot is one in which we've all kind of given in to the government and agreed that the government has to be the sole arbitrator of violence. That's the stick. But the carrot is money. And if we give a central authority the right to print money, we are giving them control over the carrots in our society. They can buy up all the stock on the stock market. They can put into place intelligence agencies that control everything we see and hear. They can control what Microsoft and Apple put into the products that we use every day. They can control whether spyware runs on the servers running through the backbone of the internet. They can control by money that comes back into the school systems at our local level what our teachers teach, and they can control by money that comes in to help pay for the police departments in our community what laws are enforced. You know, we wind up, if we have a central authority producing money with a major power centralized to somebody that we can't control. The alternative, it's interesting when you think about the alternative, which used to be gold and until 1913 when the Fed came into existence and produced debt money, used to be gold. The alternative is very interesting because right now, if you decide that you are going to, I have to use the right word here now, you're going to create money. I don't mean make it as in going out and getting a job or starting a business. I mean creating it as in printing a $100 bill off the presses. Zoom. If you decide you're going to do that, you get arrested for it and thrown in jail. Only the government is allowed to do that. But that's beginning 1913. Prior to 1913, anyone could create money. Because money prior to 1913 was what we would call equity money. It was money that represented some physical item that had to have work put in to produce it. And in the United States, that was gold or silver. And the only way gold or silver, by and large, came into existence was somebody had to dig it out of the ground. Now, there were corporations, of course, that did that. There were companies. But much of the gold that was created was by individuals, and nobody objected to that at all. Nobody thought that was illegal. You know, the 49ers are an example of that. The Klondike Rush is an example of that. If you wanted to create money, well, you take your gold pan and you walk around someplace like Dahlonega looking for black sand lying in the curves of the stream and say, wow, that's it. I bet there's gold in that sand. And you go down and you start panning it and you produce gold. And what you do with it. Now, many people have said, well, yeah, but the price was fixed at $20 an ounce. Well, what you do with that gold is you go to a mint and you hand them a little pile of gold dust, and they take that gold dust and they purify it and they form it into a coin that certifies the weight and value of the gold that's in the coin, and they give it back to you. And it does say $1 on it, but it could just as easily have said 1/20th of an ounce on it, because the money in that coin was not the fact that it was somehow blessed by the federal government. It's the fact that it was dug up from the ground by you. The money is the gold. And the result of that kind of monetary system is that wealth is widely distributed at the grass level. The common man could participate in producing the money. There was no single source of funds coming off a printer that could buy up all the power of our society. So I want to, I guess I want to stress that. That's really the conflict that we are coming up against. It's a conflict of centralism versus the individual and the individual governments that are formed and supported by individuals. There's a very interesting show that I saw recently, and changing subjects now, has to do with another aspect that's going on in our society, which is the internet and the communications through the internet. If you think, well, no, let's not. That's too far elite, and there's not enough time available right now for me to talk about it. So let's go to another subject, which is monoculture. There is a little farm. It's not so little, actually. It's a corporation. It's rather large, out in Oregon, that produces, grows organic foodstuffs. They grow organic chickpeas. They grow organic wheat. They grow all of the staples organically, and they sell them in Oregon and all across the country. Now, in order to be certified organic, of course, you can't use chemical fertilizers. You can't use pesticides. You can't use herbicides. And in fact, you have to be free of these chemicals because they want the soil to have time to cleanse itself. You have to be free and certified to not have used these chemicals for a period of 3 years. So developing an organic farm is actually quite a difficult and time-consuming effort. One of the things you have to keep in mind is that without pesticides, without herbicides, you have weeds and you have bugs that will eat your crops. Now, the solution to both of those is to rely on the natural cycle of things in which the predators to your crops are attacked by predators to the predators, the pests to your crops. You have to encourage those pests to come in. You have to encourage the predators to come into your field to eat the pest, and that doesn't happen until you have some pests. So the net result is that to really get an organic farm going, to really get an organic garden going, you've really got to wait for the pest predator cycle to go a full circle so that the pests are being eaten by a set of predators that have settled in to your farm. Now, the problem is you also have a large number of weeds. And the solution to the large number of weeds is just to live with them. I mean, that's the nature of living in a world that is not a monocultural world. By monoculture, I mean you go out of your way to only have one kind of crop, one kind of creature, one kind of thing that lives in the environment. It is a single culture. And what you do with an organic garden is you plant lots of different things next to each other so that you wind up with a resistance that comes about by the fact that the pests can only go so far eating the particular crop when they run out of it, and the predators can move from crop to crop to crop eating most anything. And that helps you cut down on that. It helps you cut down on the weeds as well, because you can do the same count on the same thing with weeds. The bugs that eat the weeds are more mobile than the weeds. The problem is that if you are dedicated to monoculture, which is what conventional farming is. Remember, conventional farming, the problem is you want to be able to go out and harvest everything at once. You want it all to ripen at once, and you want to be sure that it doesn't have weeds or seeds or other contamination that you have to pay a lot of money to take out of the system before you finally sell the grain of the chickpeas or whatever it is to the final consumer. So having a monoculture makes your life as a farmer much easier. Now, the conflict comes about in Oregon because you have conventional farmers right next to these farms and the organic farm. And the organic farm has weeds in it. The seeds from the weeds blow across to the conventional farm. In the conventional farm, there are not any organic solutions to control these weeds, which means they can take off like gangbusters. You know, you don't have the diversity that requires that they jump from one biome to another biome to another biome because you're planting many different things scattered around. So the organic farmers who can live with this problem are now faced with the fact that the conventional farmers are saying, listen, we control weeds with Roundup, an herbicide, and we're tired of spraying all this Roundup on our crop because your weeds keep coming over into our our space. And so we're going to require, and they have asked the county to pass a law requiring that this organic farm spray herbicide, specifically Roundup, in order to kill all the weeds. Well, of course, if you do that, you're putting the company out of business. That represents the kind of fundamental conflict that exists at every level and in every mode in our society. On one hand, you have those who are centralists who believe that the only solution is to have a large central government. Well, the only way you can have a large central government that functions is to put out uniform laws and make everybody, no matter what their station, no matter what goes on in their life, no matter what extraneous circumstances they live in, everybody must conform to those central regulations and laws. And I think most of us look around our lives right now and see how this philosophy is destroying them. Their objective is to force us to be a monoculture, because the only way they can control us as a society is if we become a monoculture. It has to do from everything from vaccinations through homeschooling, through all of the issues that you see every day encroaching in our society. At the other end is the multicultural aspect, in which every individual is individual. Every individual has his own way of dealing with the problems in society. The mix of those different individuals dealing with different problems produces unique solutions that nobody could have guessed ahead of time. And those unique solutions bump up against each other until one or the other turns out to be more acceptable and winds up being adopted by other counties around the area until eventually it becomes the norm. In other words, progress in that kind of society comes from the ground up through the kind of evolutionary competitive mechanism, not a cerebral top-down control. That's the difference between monoculture and a polyculture method. It's exactly analogous to the kind of issue that's being played off right here with this company in Oregon. Think about that. If we are going to survive as a nation, we must survive as and I say this not in a racial sense, I say this not in a religious sense, I say this not in a cultural sense, but I say this in an individual sense. We must become multicultural. We must begin to encourage people to think on their own by sending them to a wide variety of schools with a wide variety of curriculum, by allowing them to not get vaccinations if they don't want to, by allowing them to have whatever form of medical service they decide they want to purchase, by not forcing them to go through doctors who have certain particular ways of dealing with medical problems. That's what we're up against.
News and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio.
This is Sam Spade. You're listening to the Sam Spade Hour. I'm here every Friday, 1 to 2. I hope you will come here, listen to my radio station next Friday. Thank you.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left, heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car, where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Expect partly cloudy skies through your afternoon. Hot and humid highs, upper 80s to near 90. Could see a spotty shower, but not too many. Tonight, lows only to the upper 60s. For Saturday, another hot day, 88 to 90. May see a late shower or storm, with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Hot weather is here for now, so the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa, where they'll keep you running longer and stronger with Napa know-how. And I'm Sports Scene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets. Window Depot of Chattanooga. They're locally owned and operated and been around since 2008, installing top quality vinyl replacement windows. You get the best price and service in the area. Top quality double pane, energy efficient windows. They look great and save you money.
Oh, I love to save money.
You'll also save money on your heating and cooling costs. Call 894-0011. 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Sales and installation professionals. You'll get a fantastic job while helping to enhance the value, appearance, comfort, and efficiency of your most valuable asset, your home. Other window providers? No way. Window Depot Chattanooga's windows qualify for the TVA rebate. Sliding doors, gutters, soffits, fascia, garage doors, and other home improvements. If you want to save a ton, call 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Window Depot of Chattanooga. Sales and installation professionals.
You feel better outside your home or business than in. Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chucks him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Here at Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR. WBLZ HD4 Ottawa. W224AZ Chattanooga. WSDT Saudi Daisy Chattanooga. Last hour on the herd.
Okay. Football should have a warning on the helmet. Hey, man, this game's rough. Play it for 16 years. There's going to be repercussions. Good luck. And I'm totally okay with that. Boxing, football, smoking, firefighter, coal mining, driving in downtown Los Angeles. Eyes wide open.
There's more to come right now in the herd.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
You guys can laugh at me all you want.
This is the herd. The herd. With Colin Cowherd.
I'm setting the tone.
This show on radio.
This is the herd.
Broadcasting live from Los Angeles. The herd with Colin Cowherd starts now.
This is the herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio. Good to have you. And Bobby Marks, the vertical former NBA exec. I think it's really interesting about the draft. Christine, what day is the draft? Is it like right after the season? Like it's in July? Or is it late June?
I'm going to tell you the exact day.
It's not long after the season. It's like, isn't it it's the 22nd, Sam's telling me?
The 22nd. Yes.
Oh, so it's a week after the finals.
At 4 o'clock.
I love it. You know, it's funny. There's only like 3 players a year that are great. I'm fascinated by drafts. I mean, I'm not a hockey fan, but I would sit and watch an hour of the hockey draft if, like, you told me there were great players. So I love the NBA draft, knowing that in 25 years, only one time have the first two picks both been great. It, like, never happens. But it's funny. Like, I think, obviously, Lakers, I would take Lonzo Ball. Even if he just becomes interesting, I do think he'll make the teammates of the Lakers better. And the Lakers right now have a bunch of C-plus players. And I think Brandon Ingram is a B-minus player, but it's a C-plus roster. If he can take the C-plus guys and make them B-plus guys, and I think that's what Magic Johnson did. Nothing against Byron Scott, but Magic was more important to Byron than Byron was to Magic. And I think Ben Simmons in Philadelphia can do that. I think there's certain guys out there. Jason Kidd made a lot of B-minus players, B-plus players. You're not going to take a C-plus guy to an A-plus guy. It's just not going to happen. But you can elevate a guy half a grade. And C-plus to B is like a difference. There's a real difference there. That's what LeBron does to his teammates. He makes everybody a half grade better. And you do that with 7 guys, and it's worthy. So Paul Pierce is with me. You know, he says, trade the pick and get a legitimate star. Here's Paul Pierce.
You trade this pick because he cannot help the Celtics get over the top. The window's now. You're a 50-win team. You're the number 1 seed. You have to build on this momentum. So if you can acquire a Paul George, a Jimmy Butler, or a Gordon from Utah, you have to do it.
Totally agree. Brian Scalabrine, former Celtic broadcaster now, he thinks Boston should keep the pick.
Here in Boston, it's about winning championships. So, like, getting close it doesn't mean anything. You got to be the best. And let's just say, like, something crazy happens, and you did add and got Jimmy Butler, and you gave up all those guys, and you gave up future picks. You're still not beating the Golden State Warriors. So now you're adding 2 gaps to that. Just beating Cleveland is not enough. You also got to beat the Warriors. Like, you don't get a special banner in Boston for going to the NBA Finals and losing to the Golden State Warriors or getting swept by the Golden State Warriors. You have to be patient, and you have to make the right moves. Now, let me tell you what the right moves will be. If somehow Gordon Hayward was to decide to go to Boston as a free, operative word, free agent, you give up nothing to get him. Now you can trade the number 1 pick this year. You might be able to trade the number 1 pick next year. And now we can have a conversation on whether they should or should not go for it.
Yeah, that ideally, if you could get Gordon Hayward for nothing and keep the pick, that's terrific. But if you couldn't do that, I would go out and get, if I had the opportunity, a better player. I think you have to create an annoyance for LeBron to beat LeBron. Boston, this series just can't create an annoyance. Draymond, Kawhi, Paul Pierce, Roy Hibbert. Generally, it starts with a rim protector. That's why the Warriors last year, when Bogut was healthy and Draymond, they created 2 annoyances. Rim protector Bogut and fly in the ointment Draymond. That's what Indiana did. Paul George, fly in the ointment. Roy Hibbert, rim protector. That's why Chris Bosh was so valuable for LeBron James in Miami, because Chris Bosh, a 7-footer, would go outside and he'd pull Kevin Garnett away from the rim. He would pull Roy Hibbert away from the rim, and that would give LeBron James a free path when he wasn't as good a perimeter shooter as he is now to the rim. So if you don't create that, you get a mockery, and that's what you're getting now. This is a mockery. Like, LeBron's not even having trouble. Think about how hard it is to make the NBA. Like, think of all these great Kentucky players that Calipari's getting for 7 years. Karl Anthony Towns can't get to the playoffs. Anthony Davis can't win a playoff series. I mean, just think how much better LeBron is. So to me, it's like when you face Tom Brady. Okay, here's what I know. Even if you have a great pass rusher, it is hard to beat Tom Brady. But you have no chance without a pass rush. None. So you may not beat him with a pass rush, but when Atlanta in the first half got a pass rush, Tom struggled. Tom struggles at Denver for years, gets a pass rush on Tom. Now, he may still beat you, but the only way to beat Tom Brady, you have to create some discomfort. I mean, that's what you did in high school, right? We all got it. We all played basketball in high school, right? And we were all probably average players listening. There was always one guy in the league or one guy in your team that you didn't want to guard or didn't want to have guard you. You were often better than him, but he sweat too much. He was all clingy, elbows. He's a left-hander, had a weird style. He was long. Like that, you just have to make LeBron sweat a little, because when you get to the top of the food chain, There's not many people smarter than Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. There's nobody better than Tom and LeBron, but you got to make them work for it. You got to make them work for it. Bobby Marks around the corner. Bobby there. Oh, I didn't know Bobby was ready. All right, former NBA exec, the vertical. Okay, so Paul Pierce says trade the pick. And Brian Scalabrine says build for the future. You ran the Celtics today, Bobby. What would you do?
I'd hold on to it unless I can pry one of these all first NBA teamers off off that list there. I think Colin, when you look at that pick, if it's Markelle Fultz, which I think it's going to be, I just like the value of having a player for probably 8 or 9 years on my roster instead of having a player for, if it's Jimmy Butler, for 2 years, and then you're going to have to pay him $37-38 million. I'd certainly keep my options open. I don't think Danny should have blinders on when it comes to what the value of that pick is. And I think you hit it right on the head with what you were talking about. I think if Boston could ever find that athletic 5, a DeAndre Jordan type player to kind of muck things up a little bit here, then I think they could compete with Cleveland. But, right now as constructed, they can't.
It's interesting. Danny Ainge, smart guy. His last 22 picks, no all-stars, 2 good players in Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, several whiffs. I don't think it's ever been harder to evaluate talent because you get 1 year of college, and let's be honest, coaches dominate college basketball. So how much is D'Angelo Russell and how much is Thad Matta? Hell, half the time I can't tell. Chris Dunn, I liked him. Then I watched him in the NBA, and I'm like, even with 3 years of tape, I'm like, man, I'm not sure if he's going to make it. Couldn't I make the argument, Markelle Fultz, his biggest win in college was over Oregon State. It's so hard to know how good these college guys are anymore. It's just safer going with a Gordon Hayward or Jimmy Butler.
Well, it is. I mean, you've got it. You're right on there. I mean, it's the known, which is the proven NBA player who's been in big games before, who is already past the developmental stage where Butler and Hayward is in their career, versus a guy like Fultz, who it's going to probably take a couple of years for him to have an impact where either player is right now, and that's the job of the GM to kind of weigh that scenario there. But the one thing you don't want to do is give away that pick, and I think where it's not the Paul George scenario that maybe we saw at the deadline though, but Danny's going to get some good offers here for that pick. I mean, he really is. He'll get a good offer for that pick. He'll get a good offer for that Brooklyn pick in 2018. So maybe if you're looking at moving one of the two, I would certainly consider that 18 Brooklyn pick, because I don't think the Nets will be very good next year. I think they could be in the same spot they were this past year.
Just Lonzo Ball, as a former NBA exec, what do you see? What's going to happen with him in the league? Forget Dad. What's just going to happen with his game?
Well, I think he could translate into a better player than Fultz. I really do. I think especially where the league is going, kind of, we're seeing these positionless players here, and with Ball, with his size. I mean, I'm a big fan of his size. I think the dad kind of overshadows a lot of things right now, but he's a good player, man. I mean, he really is. I mean, he can play both ends of the court. He can get up and down if you're looking to go that way. I know that kind of the knock on him is a little bit of what his shooting style right now, but there's a lot of players in the league who have figured that out here. So, I think right now where him and Fultz are, I think Fultz right now is the better player, but I think if you ask me 5 years from now, I think Ball might be.
Yeah. What would you do with his dad? Does it matter at all? I mean, listen, once you get to the association, dads disappear, don't they?
They do. I never really had a problem with a parent as far as, but we're in a different time right now. And I think the dad doesn't bother me. And I was in Chicago last week at the Combine, and I talked to a bunch of teams, and they didn't bother him at the time. It didn't bother those teams at the time. We still got a month to go to get to the draft here, but I think there'll be a time if it's Magic or Danny Ainge or Brian Colangelo in Philadelphia, I think they're going to have a conversation with dad, more of a sit down to get to know him and find out what is his intent right now. Is it as a gimmick where it's from a marketing standpoint, or is he the dad that's raised 3 kids right now? So I think there'll be a point where there is a conversation, but it would surprise me if he becomes an issue when his son is drafted here.
Here's what's interesting. The Lakers have, to me, mostly B- C+ guys. Here's what I'd be interested if I was Magic Johnson or Rob Pelinka. That Lonzo Ball will be truth serum, because I think it's understood. He's going to make everybody a little better. And I'm not sure what to make of D'Angelo Russell. And I know what Julius Randle is. I know what Larry Nance Jr. is. I know what Brandon Ingram's going to be. I kind of feel like I know with the Lakers. I really don't know what the hell D'Angelo Russell is. And I kind of feel like Lonzo's going to figure it out for me. If you ran the Lakers today and Lonzo comes in and D'Angelo Russell, how do you think that dynamic works? Do you think D'Angelo, because I know he can score, Bobby, what is he in this league?
Well, I don't know if he can adjust to being a backup off the bench. And I think if you draft Lonzo Ball, I think that's kind of going to be the scenario here. And I think if you look at their past lottery picks and you put where Lonzo Ball is, I think Ball is head and shoulders above Russell, Randall, Ingram in that group. I mean, we had a debate the other day, and we thought that Ball and Fultz would have been 1-2 in the past couple drafts here. So I don't know how the kid will handle in regards to Russell as far as, someone who was the second overall pick. Now he's going into year 3 here. Can you adjust to being, more of a role player and coming off the bench? And I think if it's the mindset that Ball is your guy at 2, I think you've got to look at to see what the value of him on the market is here, because there's still an appeal from a team perspective because of his age, and a lot of teams feel like there's still a lot of upside here.
Any chance Boston would take him? I mean, it's hard to bail on Isaiah. He's too small to be a 2, isn't he? Because who would he guard? But would you consider with Boston, if you're sitting to yourself thinking, listen, Lonzo can elevate Al Horford. He can take Avery and everybody higher. Would you consider taking him if you're Boston?
Well, I know Boston's going to bring all these kids in for workouts, Colin. I talked to an agent earlier this morning who's got a top 4 or 5 pick, and he's on the list to go into Boston. So, if it's Fultz or Jason Tatum or Josh Jackson, they're going to bring these guys in. Now the question will be, does the dad send him to Boston? I think for the best interest of his own son, he should go for a visit there. I really
agree.
do. I think it would be. There's no harm there. I mean, you're only going to work out for 3 or 4 teams here. It's not a travel issue. You're likely not going to work out against anybody. And even if you go down and have a sit down with Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens in that group, there is no harm to do so. And I think that's where the direction should be.
Bobby Marks for The Vertical, great basketball site, former NBA exec. I'm not going to get into the MJ LeBron stuff here, but when I watch LeBron, what's really remarkable is his last regular season game was April 9, and the finals will start June 1st. Bobby, if they sweep Boston, he's going to have 40 days off from April 9 to June 1st. Now think about that. I don't know if he gets that much rest in the offseason. It is some of what we're seeing with LeBron now, just because I see his energy and efficiency, and I can't. I mean, I loved MJ, but he would struggle against Utah. He would have a 9 for 22. I find his efficiency now, I don't even know who to credit it. Like, when you watch LeBron, what are you seeing?
Well, I see a player that can score basically anytime he wants. I mean, I really do. I mean, if you watch the Boston game the other night, I thought if Cleveland wanted to go to him every possession, he could score anytime unless they were going to send 3 guys at him. And that's the big thing I thought with Cleveland with these playoffs was getting through these series, in short series, is that they were going to prolong these guys getting to the finals here. And it seems like it's adding years onto his longevity here, how quick these series are. But this is as good as a player as I've seen. And I know the Jordan comparison, and I saw Michael in the 90s when I was with the Nets. We played against him here. But where LeBron is right now at these playoffs, I mean, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah. I mean, here's one thing. He's just bigger and stronger than everybody. I mean, I like Larry Bird. I like Magic. I like Michael. LeBron is just bigger and stronger than all of them. God, I feel bad for these guys. When they make these switches, I feel terrible for Marcus Smart and Kelly Olynyk. Like, I think they know they can't stop him.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, you've got no chance. And unless you want to go zone and try to put a gimmick defense out there, to play him one-on-one or even try to send a help defender at him, his strength in itself, and then look what he has around. I mean, if you've got Kevin Love playing like that, like the Kevin Love we saw the other night, who's certainly been good during the season in the playoffs, and then you have Kyrie Irving basically as your third option, you've got no chance here.
Good talking to you. Bobby, great work. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Isn't it funny? remember last year, Christine? Remember the topic last year? It was either in the finals or going into I think it was going into the finals. You've got to get rid of Kevin Love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we are so and I'm guilty of this too. We always want to bail on people. Like, Kevin Love's he's probably a B+. Remember how much hate Chris Bosh got?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of Chris Boshes out there.
Right.
And then, like, everybody in the world wanted to bail on Kevin Love. And Kevin Love now is just, this is as good as Kevin. Like, he won't get the big numbers here like he would elsewhere, but we tend, and I'm guilty of this, we tend to just bail on guys. Folks, if you take every NBA player, take out 9 of them, Kevin Love's in that next group of 50 great players. Like, you just can't that's why if I'm Chicago, it is hard to let go of Jimmy Butler. How many guys? There's like 4 guys that are absolutely better than Jimmy Butler. And then he's in a group of 12 that are the next best players. It is so hard. So before you want to bail on Kevin Love, he is 6'10". He is a great shooter. He can rebound like nobody's business. And he's a good teammate. He could score 30 a night, but like, he's a good teammate. Chris Bosh was a good teammate. That counts for something. Be very careful about bailing on guys, and not a lot of great guys in this league. That's why I'm always for get a guy in the league scoring. You can have the 19-year-old. You can get me Jimmy Butler. My guess is none of these guys in the last 2 drafts are as good as Jimmy Butler. That would be my guess today. And I'm probably have a better chance to be right than wrong. Whether football, basketball, baseball is your sport of choice, the key to winning is a strong roster. And you know what I'm going to say next. ZipRecruiter.com can get you there. By just going to it, they will post your job to 100+ job sites. That includes Facebook. That's why they're different too. They match the right people to your position. Okay, they don't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter, over 80% get a qualified candidate within a day. Don't juggle emails. Don't juggle calls to your office. Just screen, rate, and manage candidates in one place. They've got a very easy-to-use dashboard. Okay, right now, my listeners, start forming your own winning team for free. ZipRecruiter.com/herd. ZipRecruiter.com/herd. Try it for free today.
Welcome to Geico's Motorcycle Meanderings.
Oh man, this is great. I sure saved a lot of money by switching to Geico. I scored some big savings, and now I can use their mobile app 24/7 for all sorts of stuff. Life just makes sense now. You know what doesn't make sense? If a car is called a horseless carriage, why isn't a motorcycle called a horseless horse? Maybe it would just be adding insult to injury for the out-of-work horses.
Geico Motorcycle. Savings that make sense.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left, heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car, where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies through your afternoon. Hot and humid highs, upper 80s to near 90. Could see a spotty shower, but not too many. Tonight, lows only to the upper 60s. For Saturday, another hot day, 88 to 90. May see a late shower storm with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Hot weather is here for now, so the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa where they'll keep you running longer and stronger with Napa know-how. And I'm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I've got a $10 bill for you at the best paint store in Chattanooga. David here. Hi. Big savings right now on paint and stains. Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Ring up a can and keep that $10 bill. Save on select paints and stains at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating. More than a paint store. Pittsburgh, Porter, Glidden, Prolux, Olympic, Flood. $10 a can. Savings this week. Jim and his team are here to help and advise. And to help you hold on to your money, 5529 Hickson Pike, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating, ChattanoogaPaint.com.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
I've been a customer at S&S 14 years. It's way out of my way, but I'm well treated. I believe what I'm told. Price is reasonable. David Tulis here. Make an S&S appointment today. This week, get $50 off any 30,000-mile service or timing belt repair. And get a free combat knife as a gift. S&S Auto Repair specializes in Toyota, Lexus, Honda, Acura, Scion, Nissan, and Infiniti. 6-time winner of Best of the Best award in the Times Free Press. 855-3436. ssautorepair.net. 855-3436.
Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedway.DirtSimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see you Saturday night.
The UCRA Crate Late Model Event. Limited late models, crate late models, sportsman, hobby, and street stocks.
Boyd Speedway.
Are you shovel ready? Ready to build a house, but you're not a builder? Are you shovel ready? Michael's Homes is ready to bulldoze its way to a solution for you. You have ideas on what you want in a house, but you're looking for someone to bring your ideas into a plan and turn your plan into a house. Michael's Homes, custom builder. Michael's Homes has lots available at a new subdivision, River Bay Estates, that's Harrison. Maybe River Watch in Saudi Daisy. Choices galore, lots, houses, beautiful homes all over Chattanooga. The Canyons, Hickson. Crystal Brook, Appison. Drive in, take a look, consult with us. We build on your lot or ours. Homes-Chattanooga.com.
Call 423-413-9929.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
But, you know, let me just say this about it. I thought Christine showed actual restraint. In that interview, obviously something happens, and then I go home and sleep, and I wake up and I drive to work, and you think about stuff. And when something happens in the moment, I can't process things that quickly. Like I act or I react to something. You know, you get into an argument with your wife or something, and then you go for a drive, and then you think about it, and you sleep on it, and you wake up and go for a drive, and then you're like, oh, I should have done this, not that. But the one thing I will say, and I try to stay off radio and the internet when stuff like this happens, because I just let it play out. People are idiots. But if somebody would have told me, stay in your lane, I'd have said, go to hell. To me, Christine showed unbelievable restraint. If I was on a show with somebody on live television and you've been in the business 15 years, I mean, wait a minute. You didn't start at 9. Hold
Yeah,
on.
about 10.
Okay, Dex, sorry about that. Not trying to age anybody. I've been in it for 20.
I'm 30. I don't care.
Okay, so if I'd have been and you've been in Chicago and you've been Boston, you've been NBC, you've been Fox, you're a multiple network person, and somebody would have told me, stay in your lane, I'd have told you to go to hell. So you can be critical of me, but stay. Let me ask you, if you were at a restaurant and we each had a cocktail and you came up to me, Colin loved the show, and you had an opinion, and I put my hand out and went, stay in your lane. You'd be like, you want to come to blows. If you think somebody who's put 10 years into this business, and I mean, I've leaned on Christine a dozen times, well, 1,000 times, whatever, for like real information. She works the phone during the show. She's a real reporter here. This is what she does. Christine has sources. You know, if you listen to Herdline News, she's subtle about it, but when she kind of gives you that look, you can tell that it's something from a source. And I lean on her all the time for this because I don't, I'm on this treadmill here. I need connected people. If somebody would have told you in your profession, stay in your lane, you're an accountant, you're a high school principal, you're a landscaper, and they put up a hand and went, stay in your lane, you tell them go to hell. So don't tell me about this. Well, Christine threatened. Stop. It started with LeVar Ball being completely disrespectful and telling a 10-year professional, and I got to tell you something. I've been in this business 30 years. I've worked with men, women, young, old. Christine's probably the most connected. Well, she is. She is the most connected non-athlete. Like Chris Carter obviously played in the game. He's got cell phone numbers.
Right.
Non-athlete, the most connected person I've ever had a show with. I mean, I got to tell you, my cell phone, I got GMs. I got a lot of people on my cell phone. Christine is as connected as anybody I've ever worked with. And you're going to tell somebody a dentist stay in his lane? What? You're going to walk into a dentist office, stay in your lane. Remember, this is Christine's office. This isn't LeVar Ball's office. This is our office. Now, part of me thought I should have jumped in and helped her, and that part I've wrestled with. I wrestled with it in the moment. My fear was, well, I respect her, so she's firing shots, and she should be. Like, I didn't tell anybody. I like where she was landing. But don't for a second give me this. She was disrespectful. He walked on this set and told a decade-long pro, stay in your lane. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. Listen, I go on local radio shows. I'm better than everybody I go on with. Don't take it personally, but I'm better. That's why I'm here. I never tell a local guy stay in his lane. I respect that I'm on his set or on his show. For somebody to walk on in any business and be disrespectful and tell you as a working pro, stay in your lane, I don't want to hear your excuses. You have every right to fire back. You have every right to be feisty. And by the way, Christine's a reporter. One of the things I like, she's not a supporter. She's a reporter. She reports. Okay? She should be aggressive with any guest, especially if that guest is disrespectful.
And I wasn't aggressive. I asked him how many pairs of shoes that he has sold.
Which, by the way, I wanted to know the answer.
We all wanted to know the answer.
That was the question.
The reason he didn't answer and the reason he let his emotions get the best of him is because he was embarrassed at what the answer was. And as I've said many times, he could have come right back at me. He could have disagreed with me with a lot of passion, and I would have welcomed it.
Yeah. By the way, for anybody defending LeVar Ball,
and there are
lots. Yeah. Ask yourself, if somebody came into your office, this is Christine's office, and was disrespectful about you and you're a mortgage broker, you or you're a dentist, you or you're a landscaper, you or you're a teacher, how would you react? You'd be pissed.
Or think about it this way, and I am not playing a victim here. I am not a victim.
Stay in your lane.
It was just respect. Just respect me.
You're not
I would never say those things to him.
First of all, you're not playing victim.
But think about if someone said that to your daughter or your mother. Would that be okay?
Yeah. It's just the same.
And to all the people who are defending him,
Stay in your lane.
And who LeVar has said that you're a loser if you can't afford to buy his $500 shoes. That's who you want to defend.
Yeah. And by the way, I have a good job. I'm not paying $500 even for leather shoes. Well, I mean like leather dress shoes. $500 for any shoe is a lot of money. And he called you a loser. And for the record, there have been times I've defended him. You know, one of the reasons I brought him on is he made a bunch of predictions and he was right.
I've defended him too.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I brought him on that day, I'm like, I remember I was at home that night. I'm like, hell, he's right. He made all these proclamations. Everybody laughed at him. And I'm like, he's right. Lonzo's going to be a Laker. It's newsworthy. He was on the show before us. But don't tell me, if somebody told you stay in your lane, you got to be kidding me. I'd say so. She showed restraint. If somebody said that to me, it's over. Because I can verbally play with anybody. I'd have gone right after him. And by the way, another thing is, why can't she be tough and why can I be tough? My podcast, my numbers are great. I've tripled my audience. One of the reasons you listen to me, because I'm tough, I'm honest, I don't talk a lot of bull, and I go after people. That's why you listen to me. You don't listen to me because you think I'm the smartest guy. You don't listen to me because I have the most sports knowledge. You let me be aggressive, and you reward my aggressive commentary. Well, I hired her because she's aggressive. And if you say stay in the lane to anybody on my show, on my set, in my workspace, you come onto this show, we'll battle. We're not. This is not the other shows at the other networks. You know, Disney ain't running us. We'll argue. We're not run by Disney. That's the other network. We're not the Lion King here. We're the network of Family Guy. Okay, we'll go toe-to-toe with you. We'll argue with you. But don't come on my set and say, stay in your lane. This is our workspace. You got to be respectful. Did you do update yet? I forgot.
No, I didn't. I can do that, though.
I got rambling. Christine with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, Colin, you're kind of like the Rain Man, right? Not only
From
for
Seattle, is that?
Well, it's multifaceted.
Okay.
Not because of your crazy, weird knowledge of certain things that have happened in the past, but because when you moved here, it started raining like crazy.
Yes, it did.
And because of all of that rain, so maybe you're to blame, actually, the Englewood Stadium will not open now until 2020.
You know,
it's being delayed.
I'm okay with the Rams part. So the Chargers are going to play in a soccer stadium?
Yeah, that's not good.
Like
for
this
the fan
San
base.
Diego thing. I'm dead serious here. Move them back to San Diego. I'm dead serious. Like, so the Raiders are moving to Vegas. I'm down with it.
They might be there before the LA teams are.
Rams here, I'm okay with it. This San Diego thing is a mess. It is, you're going to have them play. I got nothing against the LA Galaxy. That's not an NFL stadium. God, USC wouldn't play their game. That's not a college stadium. That's embarrassing for the National Football League. That is embarrassing.
The Celtics are reportedly focused on trying to sign Gordon Hayward in free agency. I think that would probably make the most sense. Jimmy Butler, I don't think is going to go there. Paul George, you cannot sign him right now to an extension or any kind of new deal. So you'd essentially be having to rent him and risk losing him for nothing. And I don't like to see them giving up all of their picks. I think what we are seeing is the Celtics are showing a lot of success early by being the number one seed. And we have to remember that they're in the middle of a really long rebuilding process. Yeah. So why jump ship now?
If you can get Gordon Hayward, Gordon Hayward, because he plays in Utah. It's funny. If you look at Gordon Hayward's numbers, he's like 24 a night, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Like, hey, everybody, Gordon Hayward's a really good player. Like, I really believe if you get Gordon Hayward, I think Boston makes Cleveland uncomfortable. I don't know if they beat him, but it doesn't look like it looks now. It would be very uncomfortable.
He's also really good at League of Legends, from what I hear, which automatically gives him a in my book. And finally, Kyrie Irving is joining in on this whole retirement talk. Remember, we were talking about Giselle, maybe ending Tom Brady. So here's Kyrie Irving talking about him potentially leaving basketball early.
One of my best friends told me that he really thinks that I may become the Lauryn Hill of the NBA. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like 100%.
Leave early before I even
the Barry Sanders.
Before I even get to
the Barry Sanders. The Barry Sanders.
My prime.
You've mentioned this before.
Yeah, I have.
I mean,
I don't know if it's
before or after. How old are you? 25?
I'm 25.
Why would you?
So by the time I get to 10 years in the league, I'll be 29.
Why would you?
I'll be 29.
I agree.
Like, why would you leave early? This is fun.
So Kyrie Irving is really, really smart and has a lot of interests. So I can see why he'd maybe be thinking about that.
You have a lot of interests. You still like doing this. You're in your prime. What is that?
But
Gordon Hayward likes Game of Thrones or whatever. He's still in his prime.
League of Legends.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean,
Game of Thrones is a separate thing, which is amazing, but you cannot compare the two until there's a Game of Thrones video game, and then I'll participate.
Yeah, if you're as good as Gordon Hayward or Kyrie Irving, go play video games.
No,
That's
do
awesome.
what makes you happy.
Oh, stop by that.
Do what makes you happy.
You know what makes you happy?
I'm not going to knock it.
No.
And by the way, Lauryn Hill is amazing. And I was really sad that we didn't get more music, but I also understand that when you're an artist and you're so good at what you do, you put everything into it. And sometimes it's hard to repeat it.
You can play video games when you're 80.
No, you can't.
Why
You got
not?
vision things going on.
It's okay.
Your thumbs
All I'm going to
aren't
say
as
is
quick.
go ahead and retire, and then the market crashes, and your net worth goes down about half, and then you're sitting there at 31 going, oh, LeBron's still playing.
But what if you're happy?
As John just said in my ear, you don't retire from LeBron. LeBron can retire from you.
Oh, come on.
You do not retire.
Come on. So now LeBron controls everyone's lives.
Mostly, yeah.
Oh, not mine.
Mine, actually, for 3 months a year.
I know. That's the news.
Christine with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie
Derek
News.
Carr wants his money, and Chris Carter is all in defending him. Next, for all you guys out there, a new name in men's health. It's called M-Drive, your new spot for premium men's health and vitality supplements. Refine your prime. Overweight, lack energy, just want to up your game? M-Drive's got a product for you. Not complicated. 5 clinically tested ingredients for the athlete in you. They've got Boost and Burn to lose weight, M-Drive Elite for the guy that works out or the girl that works out every day. It just boosts something already in your body, testosterone. We've all got natural T levels. It amps them up. Vitality, recovery, stamina, and endurance. They've got it at Vitamin Shop, GNC, or at my neighborhood, Walgreens, prominently displayed. My listeners can also go to the internet. Buy M-Drive, buymdrive.com, code HERD. That actually gets you 25% off. Refine your prime, losing weight, just want more energy, able to recover more quickly, buymdrive.com, code HERD.
Message and data rates may apply.
You're probably familiar with the term crash and burn. You know, a huge failure. But do you know the term burn and crash? That's when you take a fat burner that gives you a whole bunch of energy, but later you get the dreaded crash. Look, if you want to burn body fat, I mean really melt your fat during workouts so you look and feel great, try Lean Fire XT. It uses a new concept called thermovigilance that helps you burn fat from your waist, hips, thighs, all over, with virtually no jitters and no crash. For a limited time, every man and woman in America can try a complimentary bottle. Get yours by texting TORCH to 202020. Lean Fire XT comes from the award-winning experts at Force Factor, and it's already a top-selling diet pill at GNC because it works. Don't settle for less. Get your complimentary bottle by texting TORCH to 202020. If you burn too much fat, please decrease use of Lean Fire XT. That's TORCH to 2020.
Okay, here we go, people. This is The Herd.
Where are you again?
With Colin Cowherd.
Drew Brees talked about concussions, and Tom Brady's a big discussion this week because his wife went on and said, oh, yeah, Tom has concussions all the time. Tom Brady has not talked about it. Could be true, maybe not true. I'll probably lean toward it, probably closer to true than untrue. But
if you come home from a game and you might be dinged or your bell rung, would you tell your wife?
No, I wouldn't want her to worry.
Bingo. Same here. Guilty as charged. Totally agree. I don't tell my wife everything. I don't want her to worry. She's got enough stuff to worry about. I wouldn't tell my wife. The other thing is I played football, and I have more contacts in football than any sport. And that sport has its own culture. And the culture is there's 16 games. Step up and be available.
This is The Herd.
That guy's a nerd.
With Colin Cowherd.
What?
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left, heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car, where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies through your afternoon. Hot and humid highs, upper 80s to near 90. Could see a spotty shower, but not too many. Tonight, lows only to the upper 60s. For Saturday, another hot day, 88 to 90. May see a late shower or storm, with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Hot weather is here for now, so the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa, where they'll keep you running longer and stronger with Napa know-how. And I'm Sworn Sheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We are buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix? Behind on payments and facing foreclosure? Recently divorced and need a way out of the house? Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out? Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair cost. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Tax services, accounting, cash flow. We're small business specialists. I've been helping families and businesses for 35 years. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339. We make life less taxing.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
There we go. Raiders general manager Reggie McKenzie, he's the GM, really smart dude, Derek Carr wants more money. Derek Carr is the lowest paid NFL player who is great. He is the lowest paid great NFL player. And Reggie McKenzie talked about Derek's contract because Derek wants a lot more money.
I see Derek every day. We have a great relationship, communicate very well. Now, that's not going to be an issue at all. Bottom line is we love Derek and we want to keep him, and we're going to do everything to make sure this contract gets done. I want Derek Carr to be a Raider for his career, and we'll get it done however we need to get it done.
Now, listen, you have to give him $25 million. I mean, if Andrew Luck's making 24, he's got to be in that ballpark. Now, you could make the argument that he could take a little less, allowing the Raiders to get better players, but Chris Carter said, I don't want to hear that.
I like to see all these people who hide behind, hey, man, give a person a discount. You pay me the full rate, what it takes to be a top 10 quarterback. Let me win you a Super Bowl, and then the next time around, I might think about giving you a discount like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, who has multiple Super Bowls. You can't compare the kids who haven't gotten paid, haven't done anything in this league. They deserve the right to be paid the top dollar that they can get.
All right, my first call of the week, probably my last. Logan in Nebraska. I've been there before. You're in the herd, Logan, and you go ahead, and thanks for calling.
Colin, I know you're a big stats guy here, so I want to throw stats out of the way between LeBron and Jordan and get one thing to you here. In war, they have a thing called a foxhole. Are you familiar with this?
Say it again, sir.
A foxhole.
Yeah, a foxhole in like the military. Yeah.
Yeah, and they always, when we were in youth sports, they said, pick your one teammate you'd want on the team who you'd want to be in the foxhole with, basically fight to the end with. And my question for you is, would you really, if it came down to a game, everything on the line, you would have LeBron to fight to the end of the game over Jordan?
Yeah, more efficient, bigger, and stronger, faster. Yeah.
And here's the thing. Jordan shot a better free throw percentage, though. So when it came down to the end of the game, who would you want shooting free throws?
Well, again, that's a separate question. You asked me who I want in the foxhole, and I said I want the bigger, stronger, faster athlete who's more efficient.
But you cannot say this. It has been questioned, LeBron's determination, has it not?
Well, Michael Jordan was a coach killer. That was questioned his first 8 years. And then we're like, okay, well, he got a good coach. I mean, how could you be this good and not be determined? That would be like saying me and Dan Patrick. Well, Dan's more determined than Colin, or Colin's more determined than Dan. How could you get to where Dan got or where I got not being determined? We've both done a really good job. I mean, how can I judge a guy's determination? How do you become the best? I mean, if you're as good as Beyonce, Jay-Z, if you're the best accountant in your town of Omaha, Nebraska, how could you not be determined? Like, I can't judge a guy. I mean, in my business, I just figure everybody that works at FS1 in any field is determined. How could you not be to get to this great place? I can't judge a guy's determination.
I think you can. I think that you can look in certain people's eyes and say he is more determined than them.
I look in LeBron's eyes and he's shooting 58%. Those are good eyes. I don't know. I mean, maybe by 3%. Gary Payton gave Michael Jordan trouble. You think Gary Payton would give LeBron trouble? Come on. I mean, the determination. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I worked at ESPN, I always figured like the top people there were all determined. Aren't they? I mean, if you live in Omaha, Nebraska, where you called from, the top 2 realtors, there's probably 1,000 people that have a realty license. The top 2. You're going to make me pick and choose between 1 and 2? Maybe just somebody just sold one better house this year. They both got to be kind of determined. Don't they? If you go to the top 15, I'm in the top 15% in my little world here in like talk radio, right? Isn't everybody determined? Isn't Sean Hannity? Isn't Rush? Isn't Howard? Isn't Patrick? We're all determined. I'm not going to go through layers of determination. I can't. All I know is this: LeBron's bigger, faster, stronger. That I know. That ain't close. And he's more efficient. I'll take bigger, faster, stronger, efficient. There are things that Michael does better. Things, LeBron's a better passer, better rebounder, bigger, stronger, faster. I like that. Michael, better mid-range shooting game. But in his era, that was important. And now LeBron's become a good three-point shooter because in his era, that's important. But that foxhole, you're not going to get me to say I don't want LeBron in my foxhole. First of all, LeBron couldn't fit in my foxhole. He's 6'9", 255. I need a trench. He's too big to be in a foxhole. So I don't know. Listen, you can take who you want. I'm not gonna. But I think we listen, here's what I know. Here's what's a fact. We romanticize the past. That I know. Oh, Michael played against better players. John Starks, Derek Harper, Jeff Hornacek, Brian Russell. Those were great players. Yeah, Michael dominated a bunch of guys. Dan Marley was a great defensive player. He's a good player, wasn't a great defensive player. Michael scored a lot of points and a lot of average defensive guys who were smaller than him. Utah Jazz and Gary Payton gave him a lot of trouble. Those guys were 6'3". You think a 6'5" guy is giving LeBron trouble? LeBron's too fast for the big guys and too overpowering for the little guys. I mean, Boston didn't even have a guy that can guard him. They don't even know what they're doing. Marcus Smart, Kelly Olynyk, Jay Crowder, hands in the air. I mean, that thing the other day that Brad Stevens said, when Brad Stevens came out and said, when I came in this league, I didn't think he could get any better. He's way better. Like, 5 years ago, MJ LeBron wasn't an argument. I don't know how you can watch this and say it's not an argument. I always thought Magic Johnson and Michael were pretty close. I mean, Magic made everybody better. Magic could go into a game, give you 24 assists. Michael couldn't. Magic could give you 32 points. Magic could give you 13 rebounds. I mean, Magic just gave you what you needed. Magic Johnson is the second best player I've ever seen. Michael first, Magic second, LeBron third. That's always been kind of my feeling, but I think LeBron now has surpassed Magic because he gives you all the community stuff Magic did. He makes everybody better, and he gets bigger, stronger, and faster. I mean, this is Brad Stevens on LeBron. He's faced him how many times? 50 times? Hear what he said after game one. I don't have any audio, but it was really good. I mean, he just said basically, I thought he was great. He's greater. Hey, I've been talking a lot about Upside.com, telling you if you'll save money at your company on big business travel and get a gift card if you go there. Upside.com basically combines hotels and airline tickets. So you buy both in one fell swoop. Sounds too good to be true. It's not. Go there. 2 minutes. Awesome choices. American Airlines, United Airlines, big name hotels, Marriott, Hilton, whatever the big name hotels are. They show you options. For the record, if the flight's a little earlier, little later, and you can be flexible, or stay at the same kind of hotel down the block, you get more in gift cards. And the trip costs the station even less. So a little flexibility, it is a major win here. Crazy not to go to Upside.com. Spend less of your company's money or your money and get the $100 gift card from Amazon.com. Real deal. Trust me. Upside.com. Promo code HERD. And say big on travel. And get the big gift card. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio. AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left, heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Expect partly cloudy skies through your afternoon. Hot and humid highs, upper 80s to near 90. Could see a spotty shower, but not too many. Tonight, lows only to the upper 60s. For Saturday, another hot day, 88 to 90. May see a late shower or storm, with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Hot weather is here for now, so the folks at Napa Auto Parts would like to remind you that if you can fry an egg on the sidewalk, you can also fry your car battery. Head to Napa where they'll keep you running longer and stronger with Napa know-how. And I'm Machine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Window Depot of Chattanooga. They're locally owned and operated and been around since 2008, installing top quality vinyl replacement windows. You'll get the best price and service in the area. Top quality double pane, energy efficient windows. They look great and save you money.
Oh, I love to save money.
You'll also save money on your heating and cooling costs. Call 894-0011. 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Sales and installation professionals. You'll get a fantastic job while helping to enhance the value, appearance, comfort, and efficiency of your most valuable asset, your home. Other window providers? No way. Window Depot Chattanooga's windows qualify for the TVA rebate. Sliding doors, gutters, soffits, fascia, garage doors, and other home improvements. If you want to save a ton, call 894-0011. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. WindowDepotChattanooga.com. Window Depot of Chattanooga. Sales and installation professionals.
You feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chucks him off. Coming off turn number 2. Goes to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway.
Here at Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR. WBLZ HD4 Ottawa. W224AZ Chattanooga. WSDT Saudi Daisy Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Dave Barrett. It's a first for Donald Trump. He's just left Joint Base Andrews on his initial trip overseas as president. As White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The ambitious 8-day schedule of this trip gives the president the chance to inject new storylines into Washington's news cycle. That's after 2 full weeks of turmoil since he fired FBI Director James Comey. This weekend in Riyadh, Mr. Trump will meet with Arab leaders and speak at a new center the Saudis have built to counter extremism. From there, it's on to Israel and the West Bank for meetings on the peace process and the Vatican for an audience with the Pope. All that before NATO and G7 summits at the end of the week.
Back in D.C., House members were briefed today by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. It was a closed-door session to explain the appointment of Robert Mueller to look into any Trump campaign ties with Russia, and there are questions over the firing of FBI Director James Comey. Texas Democrat Sheila Jackson Lee.
I think we are still puzzled about the memorandum. We're still puzzled about who gave the directive to fire Mr. Comey. And the reasoning for that. It may be a criminal case.
Former New York Congressman Anthony Weiner with a plea deal in a federal courtroom today, acknowledging he sexted with a 15-year-old girl from North Carolina. Sentencing takes place in early September. Justice Department reporter Paula Reed.
The judge needs to assess whether or not he thinks society will be better off with Anthony Weiner behind bars, or if maybe this finally did it for him and he is somehow a changed man.
Weiner could potentially do 10 years in prison, but this deal might have him behind bars for just over 2. Not going anywhere, Julian Assange, who posted U.S. secrets on WikiLeaks, and today Swedish officials declined to press for his extradition from Britain. In London, reporter Larry Miller.
Julian Assange emerged onto the Ecuadorian embassy balcony, defiantly clenching his fist. Though Sweden dropped its rape investigation, he railed against a system that's pursued him for 7 years. For the last 5, he's been holed up inside the embassy.
That is not something that I can forgive. It is not something that I can forget.
While hailing this victory, he says the fight goes on.
The proper war is just commencing.
And should the U.S. try to extradite him, he says he'll fight that too. Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
Got a drone you like to fool with over the weekend? There are clear skies ahead now that the FAA says you don't have to register your toy.
The FAA unveiled the rule 2 years ago, requiring owners of model aircraft and recreational drones to register them. The rule was a response to the growing numbers of such aircraft near airports, and an effort the FAA says was meant to improve safety in the skies. The U.S. Court of Appeals in Washington said that rule was a violation of federal law, and only Congress can change those laws. Bill Rakoff, CBS News, Washington.
Wall Street, the Dow is up 174, NASDAQ plus 45. This is CBS News.
Sign Now by Barracuda Networks is the next generation in e-signature solutions, accelerating business transactions for more than 4 million people and counting. Sign Now is priced at a fraction of the cost of comparable solutions, offers superior ease of use, yet includes all the enterprise-class security and functionality your business will ever need to safely go paperless. Sign Now is pre-integrated with Salesforce, Office 365, and Google Apps, and you can even integrate Sign Now with your own app through its API. Visit signnow.com and enter promo code RADIO to start your free trial.
This is Charles Osgood. There are a lot of complicated things in life, rocket science, taxes, and tying a bow tie. But insurance does not have to be one of those complicated things. Your local independent agency representing auto owners insurance will sit down and customize a plan just for you. So instead of trying to muddle through it all online yourself, contact your local independent auto owners agency. Find your local independent agent at autoowners.com. That's autoowners.com.
Low-fat dairy, if that's in your diet, some scientists say you might want to rethink that.
Nutrition experts say there can be big health benefits to working full-fat milk, yogurt, and cheese into your diet. Registered dietitian Alyssa Rumsey says it's important to look at your whole diet before making the switch.
Even though there's more calories, that fat is very satiating. So it keeps people full for longer, and they tend to not eat as much otherwise during the day.
Studies also show the fat can slow down the body's absorption of sugar, helping to lower the risk of diabetes. Danielle Nottingham at CBS News, Los Angeles.
Don't try this on your commute home. Sebastian Bourdais went round and round today at the Brickyard, posted the first early fast lap in time trials at the Indy 500. Top speed, 233 miles an hour. Qualifying starts tomorrow. The greatest spectacle in racing is a week from Sunday. Dave Barrett, CBS News.
Wouldn't it be great? The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
In the Chattanooga Flooring Center and Outlet Traffic Studio, I'm Lori Bird. Right now, 75 coming out of Georgia is extremely slow, heading northbound. 24 eastbound through the downtown area through the 75-24 split is also very slow. And watch out for an accident, Shallowford Road at Gun Barrel. Sneezing, sniffy, itchy, watery eyes. Spring allergy season's here. Doctors Cromie, Levin, Kaplan, Patel, and Perry at the Chattanooga Allergy Clinic have 8 locations to help you live life to the fullest. For appointments, call 899-04.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
All right, glad you're with us. Happy Friday. Write down our toll-free telephone number. We would love to hear from you. It's been a tough week. 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of this extravaganza. I can deal with all the stress in the world. I really can. And I'm actually amazed at my own capacity to deal with stress and compartmentalize and to keep focused and work when you're juggling 1,000 balls in the air. Just the hardest thing in the world. I know all of you have experienced it. It's not easy. It's not fun. It hits you like a bat in your head, and it's just a pain in the neck. Anyway, glad you're with us. It's Friday. We'll get a lot of calls in the course of today's program and extravaganza. A lot to get to. Obviously, I got a lot to say about Robert Mueller and his appointment as the general counsel investigating. This is a whole new level. And I think the administration better understand something, and I'm going to explain that in a second. We're going to get into some of the other issues of the day that we've kind of been ignoring because of all the news. I'm going to explain everything that's happening with the media, especially the 5 groups that want to take down the president, which is probably where I'm going to start here in a second. Here's what's happening. There's now a cycle, and it really came out in all of its ugliness this week, in as much as, in the last week and a half and 2 weeks, it's just been nonstop. And what the cycle is this, that you get either the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, whatever liberal media group that it happens to be, and they come out and then they drop their big bomb. Anonymous source, people outside of the White House say he revealed secrets to the Russians. And people outside how would people outside the White House, why would we take their word over people that were in the meeting in the White House with the president that are telling you factually what they heard and saw and it didn't happen? But the media, what they do is they take it, they drop their bomb headline, they go for the cheap headline, and then boom, it explodes. Usually late in the day, we call it a late day drop. And then after the late day drop, then you get on the nightly newscast, breathless reporting, and then hysterical reporting, and then only to find out later that, oh, sorry, that was maybe the guy inside the room is actually the one that's probably telling the truth. They don't pull it back. They don't apologize. They don't try to make good on any of these things. They just don't. And it's been one after another, after another, after another, after another. And that's why I've identified, the greatest threat now to this president. There is a threat. These people want to destroy President Trump. The deep state doesn't like him. They don't think they can control him. They are part of the swamp. And, James Comey, what he did this week is beyond the pale. And the New York Times, I sent myself a memo after meeting with the president. Okay, what did you send yourself in that memo that was so important that we can't believe that, oh my God, did he try to obstruct justice? Is that what they're saying? Did he try to obstruct justice? The president of the United States of America? Linda, what was the date we got it? That was in January.
January 27th.
January 27th. Now, do we have the tape of Comey from May? And James Comey said nobody ever tried to obstruct justice? Because he says, in his own words, he actually goes on, it would be a big deal if somebody tried to get me to stop an investigation.
So if the Attorney General or senior officials at the Department of Justice opposes a specific investigation, can they halt that FBI investigation?
In theory, yes.
Has it happened?
Not in my experience, because it would be a big deal to tell the FBI to stop doing something that without an appropriate purpose. I mean, oftentimes they give us opinions that we don't see a case there, and so you ought to stop investing resources in it. But I'm talking about a situation where we were told to stop something for a political reason. That would be a very big deal. It's not happened in my experience.
It's not happened after the memo. Then why is this even a headline? Trump tried to convince him to stop. Now, there's another problem Comey has, and you think of the breathlessness of the reporting, and the word impeachment this week came out over and 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 over again. Impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. I can play it all. We played it for you earlier in the week. You know, we've got a new introduction. We do it on TV, and now we're starting it on radio, and we're calling it our fake news roundup. Listen to the introduction that we made, because this is part of what I'm calling the cycle. You got to understand, if all these other countries can be propagandized, you know, I've been fascinated over the years about groupthink and brainwashing and hypnotic. Yes, we can. Obama. It was sort of like nobody thought for themselves. And we're like here on an island trying to expose Frank Marshall Davis and the Alinsky disciple and the Acorn activist and hanging out, you know, in the Church of GD America. And he is like family to me, Reverend Wright. But I didn't know what this guy was thinking. And Ayers and Dorn, the unrepentant terrorists, and who made up the core of who Obama was. Now, we ended up being vindicated, but the rest of the country was in a trance. I spend hours, I don't know why, I'm fascinated. For hours I spend watching the American Hero Channel and watching the History Channel and trying to understand evil. You know, how it's very, very hard for good people to comprehend evil. It really is. And that 100 million human souls were destroyed and murdered in the last century alone. The gulags, Russia, Stalin, killing fields, Cambodia, communism, fascism, Nazism. And I watch these videos and you see the pictures of the people in the crowd, and they do their sick, twisted, evil Nazi salute. And you're saying, what's wrong with these people? Wake up. How can you do? Or you watch, you know, we saw during the Iranian Revolution when the Ayatollah Khomeini took over power from the Shah of Iran, and all the people, they would beat themselves in their face until they bled. They wanted to prove that they themselves were the most loyal. You know, how does somebody, I wrote this in my book, Deliver Us from Evil. How does somebody go to work every day and their job is to take fellow human beings off a train, make them feel like they're going to be well taken care of? How many of you nurses, doctors, carpenters, plumbers? Oh, good. We've got work for you. Make you take your clothes off, think you're taking a shower, and then kill you. How do you go home to eat at night when you slaughtered your fellow human beings? There is evil at a very high level. And there is groupthink at a very high level. Now, I'm not comparing Obama supporters to, you know, I am saying there are different degrees of indoctrination. And human beings have this incredible desire to be accepted. They want to be accepted, and they want to be in the group. And I see this among journalists on Twitter. They just, okay, I'll tweet you if you tweet me. They all want to be liked. They all want to be accepted. I see this among weak Republicans. They want to be liked. They want to be accepted. They want Democrats to respect them. Probably the most guilty of this now is John McCain. He just wants to be liked, wants Democrats to like him, and prevented him, you know, from even putting up a fight for the presidency. There is a certain unquestioning behavior among partisans, by the way, right and left. I only use Obama because it was, yes, we can, Obama. No, it's not the same as the Ayatollah Khomeini or radical Islamists or anything like that. But it's a different level. It's the same thing. If you're not questioning, if you're not asking questions, It's go back to what I'm saying here about the news media or James Comey. James Comey comes out, blaring headline, New York Times, that Trump tried to get him to obstruct justice, that he said to lay off Comey. Hope you lay off Comey. Media headline, feeding frenzy, anonymous sources. And then we find out much later, he said, wait a minute, in May that nobody ever tried to do it. And if they did try, it would have been a big deal. And this happened in January. And then we discovered, it takes us a day. We discovered that, if he was so concerned about the dinner with Trump, trying to get Michael Flynn off the hook, well, then he had a legal obligation. And I would assume the FBI director knows the law, 18 U.S. Code 4 or 28 U.S. Code 1361, that he could have broken and committed 2 felonies by not going to the Justice Department and giving them the information. So that's dead. Just like, we discovered today, my buddy Rowan Scarborough is just a terrific human being, national security reporter for the Washington Times. And, they tweeted out in the Washington Times today, Comey didn't ask for more money. The interim FBI director. Remember, we heard after Comey was fired, well, that's just because he asked for more money for the Russia investigation. That's not true either. That didn't happen. And the Washington Post got it wrong again. They got everything wrong. What are the other headlines that they got wrong last week? I can't even remember all the times they've got these things wrong. But on every big major issue headline and the cycle that they go through, they try to create a whirlwind of feeding frenzy. And they do, and they're getting people hyped up, and they're making Americans think that Donald Trump's going to be impeached, and they're creating the notion that it's ungovernable and he can't do his job, and 80% of his time and his staff time is being spent, defending this nonsense. Just like, for example, when the Deputy Attorney General, this was the other Washington Post story, says, they reported, the Deputy Attorney General said he was going to quit because he was being used as an excuse to fire Comey. And then he did an interview with a station in D.C. and said, I never threatened to quit. Doesn't matter. The Washington Post will drop their next bomb without being held accountable for basically lying, false reporting, fake news, call it whatever you want. And that's the cycle we're in. I told so many people that you got to understand something. The stakes are high for the left. If Donald Trump is successful, it is the worst thing that can happen for them, but especially after 8 years of Obama failure. And I gave you all of those statistics: poverty, food stamps, people out of the labor force, lowest home ownership rate, doubling the national debt. Donald Trump's successful, and we become energy independent, and we have more security with the wall, and we're vetting people that come from cultures that contradict our constitutional republic. And if he goes forward with education back to the states, and we actually see dramatic increases in test scores, and especially in inner city America, if the president's successful, we're energy independent. And that means that we don't have to worry so much about the free flow of oil at market prices, and could keep us out of foreign conflicts in the future. If the president is successful with an economic plan that creates millions of jobs for Americans and puts the rungs of the ladder back in the ladder so they can climb it again, that is an existential threat to everything that represents modern liberalism, redistribution, socialism, big government, nanny state, womb to the tomb, cradle to grave, ideology that has failed over and over again. And it's the environment that we're living in. This is now unprecedented in terms of they want to destroy him. How is it that James Comey admits Hillary's committing felonies? Nothing. We want a real Russia collusion story? Just look to the Clinton server scandal. Wow, 20% of America's uranium going to Vladimir Putin, the foundational material to build nuclear weapons. And the Clinton Foundation is pounded with millions of dollars in donations, and Bill doubles a speaking fee in Moscow. There's a scandal, Russia scandal. Nobody wants to pay attention. How is it that guys like Michael Flynn, and maybe even me, I'm told, have been surveilled and unmasked? And then in the case of Flynn, the unmasking results in the leaking of intelligence, a felony, a violation of the Espionage Act. And we have circanews.com, and Sarah Carter and John Solomon reporting dramatic increases in the surveillance in this country in the election cycle in 2015 and 16. Well, do we have an increased national security threat? I don't think so. Are we using the guise of national security to spy on Americans and trample on Fourth Amendment constitutional rights? I think, yeah. Hey, I recently gave my home a facelift. We'll get to your calls coming up here, 800-941-SEAN. I gave my home a facelift. I did the best, simplest way possible. Custom blinds, blinds.com. And the great thing is you don't break the bank. Very inexpensive. It transforms any room in your home. Free online design consultation if you fire up your webcam, iPhone, iPad, or you can just send them free samples. You know, the color of paint on your walls, the color of your fabric. Then you pick the perfect matching blinds for your house that is going to, be great for you. Now, the best thing is you always get free shipping. No store can beat their prices. None. And by the way, you mismeasure, you pick the wrong color, let not your heart be troubled. They'll remake those blinds for free. And it's simple and easy. And now through May 24th, up to 40% off on their top select brands of blinds.com. And if you mention my name, Hannity, in the promo code, you get an additional 5% off. Blinds.com, 40% off. They're already low prices on select brands. Promo code Hannity, 5 additional % off. All right, Blinds.com, promo code Hannity.
The forgotten man is forgotten no more. This is the Sean Hannity Show.
Hey, if you're like me, a responsible supporter of the Second Amendment, and you like the right to keep and to bear arms, well, did you enter yet to win the gun of your dreams from the USCCA? If not, I don't know what you're waiting for, because you're about to miss the deadline. All of this ends on May the 31st at midnight. 10 people can each win $1,500 to spend on any gun they want. You decide which one you like, but only if you act fast. Now, whatever's at the top of your bucket list, just go to defendfamily.com right now, and you will instantly lock in your 10 big chances to win. It's simple. It's easy. That's all there is to it. Look, $1,500 is a lot of money. But you're running out of
In the Chattanooga Flooring Center and Outlet Traffic Studio, I'm Lori Bird. Right now, 75 coming out of Georgia is on the slow side. No accidents to report, but allow yourself some extra time. We're working an accident, Linwood Drive at DeSalle Avenue and Shallowford Road at Gun Barrel. So use caution. Shop and compare thousands of vehicles from area dealers and private sellers in the all-new ChattanoogaHasCars.com. Now with more details and powerful new search engine. ChattanoogaHasCars.com.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Jim and the folks at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating know color. They can help you find a cheerful hue for the girls' room, a calming neutral for the kitchen. They can even help you find the right stain and seal for that faded back deck. Jennifer, the interior designer at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating, is ready to listen and provide expert advice. Sure, she can help you find the perfect color for your space, adding beauty and value to your home, but she can also help you plan your project so that you get exactly what you need on your first trip without wasting time or money. Tom, the products expert at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating, knows coatings. He can teach you how to protect your home, your biggest investment. Ready to get started? Visit online at ChattanoogaPaint.com for pro tips and inspiration, or stop by the showroom today, 5529 Hickson Pike. That's 5529 Hickson Pike, across from the Valvoline. Ask for Jim. Tell them David sent you.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis, you know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling, Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is, Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
Your marriage is over. You've been abandoned, betrayed. You're angry, shattered, and heartbroken. Don't go it alone. When you are facing divorce, you need an experienced advocate to help protect your rights in future. And you need it from a man with a sympathetic heart, but a hard nose. Attorney Clay Whitaker will fight for you in this most confusing and bitter time in your life. Clay Whitaker, 756-6400.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
All the way home. Where were you, Jill? We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. As a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan, joining IAVA.org really helps in the transition home. It's a network of OIF and OEF vets like me who've got your back here, just like we did over there. That means when you need help navigating the GI Bill, we've got your back. And when you're dealing with the transition home, we've got your back. Or when you just want someone to share stories with, we've got your back. Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America is there for you. Join our community at IAVA.org. We've got your back.
Brought to you by IAVA and the Ad Council.
I'm out there everywhere our troops go. I've seen it all. Everything. Things that aren't on the news. I'm that thin line between our guys coming home or, you know. So when they need me, I give them everything I've got. Sometimes medical supplies can be in short supply. Stretchers, medic packs, tourniquets. But I can always look to Troops Direct to help me fill those gaps. Support Troops Direct, because when I need it now. For more information, visit troopsdirect.org.
You know, we already got our late afternoon, typical, predictable, weekly, cycle dump of the day here today, both on the Drudge Report. New York Times, by the way, the Times and the Washington Post, they're competing with each other. Who can bring the president down? That's what their competition is. New York Times, Trump told the Russians firing the nut job Comey eased investigation pressure. Really? Okay, let's look at the piece and let's see who the source is in this. All right, so they got the pictures and it looks really professional. It's the New York Times, all the news that's fit to print. And President Trump told Russian officials in the Oval this month that firing FBI Director Comey had relieved great pressure on him, according to a document summarizing the meeting. I just fired the head of the FBI. He was a crazy, real nut job, he said, according to the document, which was read to the New York Times by an American official. Who's the official? Who's the deep state? I mean, really? We get these kind of leaks in the Obama years. I think they liked Obama because they can control Obama. I face great pressure because of this Russia narrative. If you're fighting back a lie every single day for month after month after month, and he added, I'm not under investigation. And, but the question here is, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything at all, in spite of what the headline is. And you know what? James Comey kind of seems schizophrenic. He's like, he wanted to be the most respected, the most professional, the most this, and then he'd lay out the case and Hillary should be indicted. And I'm making the closing arguments in a courtroom, and only to get to the end and say, never mind. He's nuts. How does he, make such a big deal about, well, I had a memo, and in my memo to myself, I said to myself, well, he asked me, I hope this Flynn thing can go away. But he didn't think enough of it, because 5 months later, he was testifying under oath saying it would be a huge deal if somebody tried to get me to stop an investigation. Then, of course, we discovered there are laws that govern if an FBI director is appealed to and obstruction of justice was taking place, he would have been obligated under the law to go after Russia. I'm sorry, to go to the Justice Department after Russia. I'm getting tired. I can't even keep all of this straight. I wrote a friend of mine a few minutes ago. I keeping this straight all day in my head is like, it's now becoming a complicated task because there's so many fake news lies out there. All right, on this Friday, 800-941-SEAN, toll-free telephone number. More news coming up next.
In the Chattanooga Flooring Center and Outlet Traffic Studio, I'm Lori Bird. Right now, 75 coming out of Georgia is on the slow side. No accidents to report. but allow yourself some extra time. We're working an accident Linwood Drive at DeSalle Avenue and Shallowford Road at Gun Barrel. So use caution. Shop and compare thousands of vehicles from area dealers and private sellers in the all-new ChattanoogaHasCars.com. Now with more details and powerful new search engine. ChattanoogaHasCars.com.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
The deadline is approaching for the school board to pick a new superintendent of schools. The last round of interviews will be happening next week, and the selection will be made June the 15th. A man was killed when his car careened off of Amnicola Highway to the left heading towards 153. He smashed into a tree. He was pinned inside his car where he died. Firefighters had to cut him out. There were no other cars involved. The police are trying to find out how exactly this crash happened. The body of the teenager that was found at the bottom of the Sale Creek Bluff has been identified as Zachary Schaefer, a 15-year-old Soddy Daisy High School student who went running on the Cumberland Trail and wasn't seen again. 84-year-old Buster Garrison has been arrested after the police say he holed himself up inside of his house with a hostage, and a SWAT team responded along with a negotiator team. They eventually coaxed him out. He was suffering from a self-inflicted gunshot wound and rushed to the hospital. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Staying partly cloudy, hot, and humid out there through your evening hours. Any spotty showers will quickly diminish tonight. Lows only to the upper 60s. Another hot day Saturday. Highs 88 to 90. A shower storm possible late, with showers and storms more likely Saturday night through Sunday. Keep your lawn and garden looking great all summer long with Glass Farm Nursery, featuring all sorts of color, from flats, hang baskets, and trees and shrubs. Open daily, closed Sundays. Glass Farm, Highway 11, 4 miles south of Trenton. And I'm Swargene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us, Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me. Action Rentals.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have